And don't. Someone's desk. You hand it to me, I'll put it on.
There we go. Just leave this on the table.
Leave it on the table? Can I put it on this side?
Yeah. Yeah, we won't see it anyway.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I think this is on. Yep. That's
it
what
off?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, much better. Okay. All right, you go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to talk about Latasha Williams. She's the interim executive director. Interim finance director. Okay, so she was promoted shortly after being hired. She has no bond, apparently. Now, what's the deal with that?
So, Mike, if we could take a step back before we get to that. I want to thank you for coming out. I'm looking forward to a positive story. Fair and accurate,
Okay.
I believe, are part of your taglines. This all got started last week. I believe Thursday, Friday, you sent an email out to me. And your initial email asked about the Metro Parks and the $2 million check.
Yes.
Now, after you sent this email out, I did respond to the email because a lot of news agencies have contacted me via email to ask, hey, what's the real story? What's going on with the Metro Parks? So when I responded, I simply included the documents that tell the story. Yeah, so the interesting thing, I printed out the documents for you. The interesting thing is your email came back as undeliverable.
Oh.
So, funny, quick story. I go online and I look up WOIO and I send an email out to a whole chain of, so apparently our extension is just not accepted by your server, right? Because they all came back as being undeliverable. That's when we decided to call you.
Yeah.
So if we could start this meeting off with the Metro Parks,
Okay.
I'll cover that.
Yep.
Right, and then we can go into other questions as time permits.
Okay.
So the Metro Parks is something that this city has been exploring for over 10 years, right? When I became mayor in 2017, I went out to the Metro Parks. I met with the CEO, Brian Zimmerman, his staff, to better that relationship. Over the years, right, we were told, hey, we're going to get back to you. We're working on some other things. They did, right? We have a complete video of what transpired from 2017 to the present. I want to bring you to this first document. This first document is an email to Brian Zimmerman from the alleged president of City Council, Juanita Gowdy, right? And to make this email as short, it basically accuses Brian Zimmerman and the Metro Parks of stealing $2 million from the city of East Cleveland, right? The next document is Mr. Zimmerman's response, right? He was furiated, right? When I spoke to him, you could hear it in his voice. Accused the number one park management system in the country. You accuse him of stealing $2 million? He pulled out immediately, right?
You returned the check.
So, Mike, the check is right here, and I just had the finance director bring the check up. The check never left City Hall.
Yep.
They never picked this check up, right? It never left City Hall. Here's the check right here, right? Long discussion with the fiscal supervisors. They had me write void on it because it hadn't had void on it before. Here is a picture I took, right, that you're looking at. You can see the date, August 21st of this year. There's the check, right? Here is a document. Mike, can you hand me that document? If it's not there, it's over here in the window. It's over here in the window in the corner over here. Now, what this is, right? And if you look at the legislation is here, right? This legislation passed by City Council, right? July 5th, 2022, right? This is the $2 million check. Let me read it to you. Resolution 5522, Mike, in this corner here. 5522. Resolution directing a portion of the city's coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund payment to respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency or its negative economic impacts by subawarding such funds to the Cleveland Metro Parks pursuant to the Forest Hill Park Assessment Plan up front over there.
I understand.
In the corner. To the Forest Hill Park Assessment Plan, right? It's in a binder.
Yeah. No,
Here's the Forest Hill Park Assessment Plan.
Okay.
I put it in the picture.
Okay.
Right?
That's not my question, though. My question is, why is Latasha Williams signing a check before she's even the the finance director?
Great question. Let me give you a little on how finance works and how signing checks work, right? So, as you could imagine, Mike, city never shuts down, right? You can't push pause on the city and say, hey, we got to go through A, B, and C and then get back to providing services to the residents. And as the CEO, it is my job, right, to continually provide services. It's safety first. So when you think of fire, EMS, police, they're out. You can't stop. Do you know we do over 10,000 runs a year?
Oh, I'm sure.
Right?
Okay.
So, to get specifically to your question, what happens is that someone in the finance department needs to be a signator to the bank account to sign a check, right? If you go to other municipalities, you'll find that. The finance director is usually the one that's bonded, right? Now, given the abrupt departure of our finance director, Mr. Charles Iyahin, right? We hadn't had a chance. We hadn't had a chance to, in fact, even get her properly trained as the finance director, right? And it's no unknown fact that part of the reason Charles left was because of city council defaming his character, threatening him and his wife.
But isn't it a liability to have Latasha Williams as director of finance without a bond?
So Latasha Williams, right, is actually the interim director of finance, right? She was thrust into that position when Charles quit, right, when he resigned, right? So what we have done, Mike, her application for bonding is in, right? We had to scramble to get her onto the signature as a signature to the bank accounts, right? We had to do that because, again, Mike, the city can't stop operating. Safety must be provided.
Right, because she wasn't even a signator when she signed this check.
No, she was a signator when she signed the check. So what you're looking at, Mike, is a check.
A signator on. Okay, so she was a signator.
Right. Let me clarify it for you. I know you have some documents that can be misleading. Right. What you were looking at, and I don't have a picture of it, is a computer generated check. So you have a computer generated check that was signed after she became a signator.
Right.
She did not sign this check before she was a signature. In fact, no check's going to clear until she's a signator on the account.
Okay, so she was a signator right here, authorizing Treasury Management signers. Latasha Williams on the 11th, right there.
Yes. So what happens is this check is a computer generated check, right? During the transition in finance, this check was already written. It was never signed, right?
Right there.
It wasn't signed until after she became a signature to the account. She did not sign this check before she was a signature.
Even though it says that date.
Yeah, the check was generated,
Okay.
right? The check was generated, but not signed because it is a computer generated check. As you can see, it's not a handwritten check.
Okay, but she is signing checks without being bonded.
So the bonding application is in. The bonding process, the application, is a lengthy process. I'm not sure of all the details, but the banks have to do their due diligence to then provide the necessary bonding amounts.
Isn't that a liability to the city?
A liability to the city?
Yeah.
A bigger liability, Mike, is that services aren't provided. That you can't call 911
Okay.
and get fire,
But
get police, get EMS.
Council's telling me that they haven't even been able to get monthly, reports of what the money's being spent and what she's writing checks for.
Mike, I think depending on who you're speaking to down in council, may be a little misleading. So we are in fiscal emergency, right? We've been in and out of fiscal emergency for over 20 years. Part of being in fiscal emergency is that there's a fiscal commission with a fiscal oversight, right? There's 7 members on the fiscal commission, right? One of the members is the city council president.
Okay, well,
Right.
Juanita Gowdy told me she hasn't received any reports of where the money's been going on a monthly basis.
So Mike,
Is that not true?
it is not, definitely not true. In fact, right, you can go on our website and see the bank reconciliation statements, right? Granted, we are behind, right? We are months behind giving the training and the learning curve that Latasha now has to go through. At one point when she was hired, there were 5 people in the finance department, right? We had one person go out on medical leave and the other 2 quit. There were actually 2 people in there for a couple months running the finance department. So the fiscal commission and the fiscal oversight had to step in and help Latasha understand and then work through the basic mechanics of municipal finance. Now, when you're looking at bank reconciliation, they're always a month or 2 behind because you don't get a snapshot of what's going on today. You only get last month's activities, right? So that's what we're dealing with. Is she behind? Absolutely. Is she more than 3 months behind? No, right? They have access to all the information I have access to, particularly the council president, who sits on the fiscal commission, who gets all these documents and goes over them at the commission meetings.
But how many meetings has Latasha Williams attended?
The fiscal commission meetings?
No, the city council meetings.
So Latasha Williams has not attended any council meetings.
And she's required to.
Keep in mind, Mike, keep in mind, right, the challenges that I'm having in the finance department, right, with employees. Keep in mind that the last director left abruptly, in part, big part, due to him, his family being defamed by city council.
And that's why she doesn't go?
I want to allow her to go. Mike, listen, Mike, if you were me, would you allow your employees to go down into what your colleague over at Channel 3, Lydia, I believe her name is?
Okay, Channel 19.
Channel 19, she described council as a circus. She described it as a circus.
Oh, I get it.
Anyone who goes down there is defamed, ridiculed, mocked, attempted to be thrown out simply for sport, right? With the fragility of the employees here regarding being defamed and humiliated, cursed at, I can't risk having someone go in front of city council and have that happen to him.
Even if she's required to.
So she's not required to, right? I'd have to look at the charter to see where she's required. The statements are done, the numbers are done. To have someone there physically just to humiliate them is beyond something I'm going to allow.
Well, the council tells me they don't know where the money's going.
Of course they know where the money's going. They get the statements. The statements are online. The president sits on the fiscal commission. If she does not know or understand where the money, that says more about her level of competency when it comes to municipal finance than it says about me and the finance department.
Can you show me where they go online, where I can see all the reconciliations up to date?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, granted, we're a couple months behind, right? So what I could do, right, if I could get an email, maybe a personal email to you, I will forward that to you so that you can see it. And then you can follow it monthly, right? When Charles Iyahin was here, at the end of the month when he reconciled the books, he would send it to all the directors and to city council and put it online. So that's been a mode of operation for us.
So we are going to get her bonded, is what you're saying?
The bonding application is in. I'm just not sure how long it takes the bank to issue the bond, but her application is in and has been in for quite some time.
Did we really need to spend $5,000 to an employment agency to hire an accounting clerk?
I hope you can appreciate this. We have had a number of interviews for finance director and other positions. We had someone walk out of an interview, right? Once we outline and we start telling people, hey, this is what you could be subject to, right? You could be subject to the buffoonery, the attacks, written attacks, right? They could go on the news and attack you. No one wants to deal with that.
No one wants to work here.
It's hard to find someone under the current makeup of city council and what's going on in the city council's office, Mike. It is very challenging getting people to work here. And to be honest, when we have interviews, I offer them the former finance director's phone number. Call him, right? Because the last thing you want to do is bring someone in here who can't handle that. They get in here and then they get attacked.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I think 5 months to get somebody bonded is a long time.
I'm not sure how that process works. Again, they have to do a vetting, right? Check your credit and all that. I've been bonded before myself, so I know it's not as simple as her becoming a signatory to the account. Those are different things.
So it's going to take time.
It's going to take time. The application is in. Yes.
Okay. All right, that's it. Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
Mike, I thank you for coming out. If you will kindly allow emails to come to you, give me a personal.
I can give you my personal email address.
I'm going to send this back down.
We have a huge firewall.
I'm going to send this back down to the finance department.
Send me the link. I got a pen.
Here's a pen.
I got it right here.
Okay.
I'll give you my personal email address.
So you have all the documents on the Metro Parks. You have her letter, you have his letter, and then one of the things that I didn't give you was council's response to his original letter. All the councilors were trying to then get themselves out of it. Hey, I had nothing to do with it, right? They were sending Brian emails, letters. Brian writes a second letter. He says, hey, I've gotten all your email, your correspondence. None of them are going to allow you to back out what the council president wrote in her letter.
So the reason he returns the check is because he didn't want anything to do with all this.
So Brian Zimmerman and Metro Parks never took the check. That check never left City Hall.
I heard he came in and he said something and then he left. Or
no, he personally never came.
So
right?
why was it never cashed though? What was the reason?
So it was never in their hands.
Right. Why?
Right? The day that they were to pick the check up, right? There were changes and turmoil going on in the finance department. So we had a check that was printed, yet unsigned, right? We said, fine, we won't sign it, we won't take it. They came out, they left the check here. It was still unsigned at that point when they left. When I talked to Brian Zimmerman, and him being the forward-thinking person he is, he said, listen, why don't we leave the check there until the lease is passed, right? Then when we pass the lease, we'll come get the check. Now, mind you, we understand, his law department understands, only thing needed to be done per the legislation passed was for the Forest Hill Park assessment plan to be done, which was done in 2019. So technically, we have every legal right to write the check and give him the check. He has every legal right to take the check per the legislation.
Why didn't he though?
Per the legislation, Forest Hill Park assessment plan says it right there.
But why didn't he take the check?
Forward thinking. He's dealt with city councils and governments all over the county.
Because of the problems with city council.
He said, hey, I don't want to be part of the buffoonery. But as we can all see, there's no escaping the buffoonery, the circus of city council. And I apologize to the residents and to the outside people who are looking and watching it. It is a sad thing to be a part of.
I'm done. Yeah. You can take the mic out, by the way. I know we're all running late on things. But yeah, I get it. It's voided check.
Yeah, so we got it right there, and I wanted him to bring it up just to show it to you.
Yep, that's good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it's been one of those things with misinformation, spin information, all that's been out. Yes.
Let's see. You want me to carry this?
I get it. Put it in my bag.
I got Latasha's photo off of that what does he call it? ITC or whatever that website is? The I3 or?
Latasha's?
Yeah, she's on the city website.
We have to,
Yeah, I don't
gentlemen, we got the police, we got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
if you don't mind.
Geez, it was sitting right here.
I'm sure
We'll email it over. It's no problem.
that's fine.
So,
So she doesn't want to talk then, right?
Latasha?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't, again, Mike, I wouldn't subject her to that. Listen,
I'm just saying. Yep.
I've had a half a dozen employees leave because they were attacked,
Yeah.
right? Do you realize city council has sued basically every department head and me?
I've heard.
It's a circus.
Yeah, I
Your
know.
colleague said it.
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
I reported in Mississippi, but I've seen worse.
Mike, I appreciate it.
You've seen worse.
I've seen worse.
Probably in Flint, Michigan.
Well, no, Mississippi.
Oh. Gentlemen, thank you.
All right, thank you. How did he call the police, please?